Yes, people, big up yourselves. I hope everyone's good. We are back with another one. And as you've probably seen by the title of the video, today what we're going to be talking about is my journey with vaping from smoking. So it's been a long journey. It started over 10 years ago, which is crazy. The vaping transition I'm talking about, and then was basically left on the back burner for a long time. And now, as many of you know, I only strictly vape. So it's been a mad journey from there to there. And I'm just going to share and explain my experience and talk about, you know, what I did and why I've changed over, and what things I found helpful, what things I didn't find helpful, what I struggled with. And I just think it's well worth it. It's something that you guys are regularly sending me messages and comments about. Big up every single one of the commenters and likers and subscribers and everyone who's helping to grow this channel, and this entire community, honestly. And it's just amazing to see. The support from you guys has been insane. And regularly, I know some people have heard me speak about this, but regularly I get asked this question. And I think I just want to do a video to kind of speak about it as a whole. And honestly, I just miss doing these videos, man. Just sitting in the car, chatting, vibing, yeah. So if you're here for the car chats, the car videos, big up you lot too. Because a lot of you have been saying to me, get back on some of these, get back. So, you know what I mean? We're here, we're doing it, we're active. Big up to everyone. But basically, let's get straight into it. So, my first initial try of vaping, right? It was over 10 years ago. Someone I knew, I'd been smoking for a while already, few years, and it was with tobacco. And it was like someone who'd been suggested from somebody else. Like one of my friends had been suggested from their friends, oh, you should go and try this out. It's really good. It's so much better than smoking and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know. I just thought, what are you on about, man? Like, at that point, you weren't convincing me, right? And the reason I'm saying this is because then I actually got to try out firsthand a Stores and Bickle Plenty. And genuinely, yeah, this was at my use. It was there to be used whenever I wanted. And I used it about 3-4 times, maybe a couple more than that. But honestly, it was shit every single time. It was so bad. And that, I don't know if that was down to me and how I was using it, what I was expecting to get from it. Maybe it was the device. I've never used one since, being a full vapor. You know what I'm saying? I've never ever used one again since. So maybe it's maybe it was good at the time, and it's just, you know, vaping and vapes. I'm saying, what's going on here? Vaping and vapes, I feel like in general has come on a lot, and is continuing to come on massively in the last few years, because of the amount of people interested in it now. And so maybe that's partly to do with it. Maybe the device was no good. Maybe it was, yeah. But anyway, I tried it and I thought it was shit, and immediately went back to smoking. Like, I mean, immediately I was like, nah, fuck that, roll up. And every time I did it, it was the same experience. I just didn't enjoy it. You got some taste at the beginning, and then it tasted disgusting, and there was barely any vapor. And I just didn't feel like I was feeling it in the same way. Now, again, I don't even know what temps I was running it on. I can't even remember. It does have a temp gauge on it, but it felt like at the higher temps, it was just unbearable. And at the lower temps, there was nothing. It felt like you were getting nothing, except for a bit of flavour, but I didn't really understand that back then. So, yeah, it was something that I kind of parked up for a long time. I never ever ended up trying that device again, after a couple of weekends of trying it out a few times, and I just never ever went for it. And I ended up then just staying smoking for years and years and years with tobacco. And eventually I started to get issues with like breathing and airways, and you know, you're waking up every morning, coughing up, and it's not nice, man. If you've been a long time smoker, then you'll know. And it was getting to me, it was doing my head in. And I kind of wanted to do something to try and improve that. Also, I was spending a lot of money on flour. I'm not gonna lie, I've spoke about it before. I was going through a lot, man. Like a zip and a half a week, and it was costing a lot of money to get good quality flour. And essentially, there come a point where a mate of mine said to me, "Big up you, bro," because if you're watching this now, you helped me on my entire vaping journey without even realising it. So fucking massive love. And many other things, bro. Big up yourself. You know who you are. You told me, bro, I went to offer him a zoot. So basically he's a barber, right? So I was blazing a zoot whilst he was getting a trim. And fucking sick that you could do that, do you know what I mean? Absolutely sick. I'm sat there blazing this zoot, and I offered him some, and he was about to take it, and he went, yo, has it got tobacco in? I was like, oh shit, yeah, you don't blaze tobacco in it. He was like, nah, not anymore, bro. Thank you, but honestly, no thank you. I was like, there's not much in it. He's like, nah, honestly, thanks though. Appreciate it, bro. And I said, I don't know how you can blaze Pure Me, because I feel like it's so harsh, and I can't even taste the bud. I said that, I can't believe I said that. But I did. I was like, I can't even taste the bud. I'm saying this because I'll explain in a minute what happened. Basically, I said, I can't even taste the bud in a Pure. It's too harsh, makes me cough loads. And it's too, I don't know, it's too strong almost. It doesn't really, it's not the same. And he was like, I get you, but honestly, I don't know, that's the other thing I said. I feel like I just use way more bud, because, you know, to have a fat zoot, you could be putting 0.3 to 0.5 with some tobacco. Depending on how much tobacco, depends how big you want to make it then, doesn't it? Which, you know, I fluctuated over time. Sometimes using a lot, sometimes using barely any. And then eventually, but I always had to have some. And then there'd be certain man that I used to know that would make zoots with like this much of a cig. And it used to just taste so different. And it was almost like, it was mad. It's weird. I felt like you couldn't taste the bud, but in actual fact, you probably could taste it more. But yeah, my mate said to me, just try it out, right? Do 2 weeks, and you'll actually end up using less bud. I said, are you sure? You're chatting shit, bro. Think about it. You're putting a G in a zoot, minimum to get a decent, you know what I mean? At least, if not more. And he's like, I know, but that zoot lasts you a lot longer. With tobacco, you're smoking it very quickly. And I'm like, that is true. Like, you could do a zoot in like 5 minutes if you wanted to. You can't do that with a Pure, really. Maybe a really small one. But I didn't realise this. And he said, bro, listen, right, just do 2 weeks, no smoking with tobacco. And just do it just as an experiment. Just try it out, yeah? And smoke only Pures. And after that 2 weeks, try a zoot with tobacco in. And I promise you, I said, at least for me, it felt like I'd violated my lungs instantly, and I could never do it again. And I'm like, that's mad, bro. So you did used to blaze with tobacco? Because I only ever knew him blazing with Pures. And he's like, bro, I used to blaze with tobacco, and I used to use more weed. And it was just completely different. It was completely different. I treated it differently. I was like, rah, that's mad. All right then, fuck it. I thought I'll go home, I'll think about it, man. I'll think about it. And anyway, I ended up doing it. I ended up saying, you know what? Let's do it. 2 weeks. He says it's going to save me money. And he was also saying, that's another thing he said, is he can taste the flower better when it's got no tobacco. Now he feels like he can't taste it, or you can taste his tobacco, even if there's only a tiny bit. I was like, wow, that's mad. Because I felt like I've had the opposite. Anyway, I humoured him. I don't know if it was the next day or a few days later. I basically went, fuck it. No backy. Pures only. Pures only for however long it was. 2 weeks, mate. It might have even been more by that point, because at first I really struggled. I'm not gonna lie. It was only that I would basically, I told myself I'm doing it, because my man said, look, do it like that, and I was thinking, nah, this is bullshit, man. I kind of wanted to just prove it to myself that I'd give it a go, and you know what I mean? I don't know. That's just how I am sometimes. When my mind gets fixated on it, I'm gonna do it. Nothing's gonna get in my way. So I didn't really enjoy it. I was coughing my fucking eyes out. I couldn't taste it properly. It didn't taste how it normally tasted. I just felt like, I don't know, it wasn't right. It wasn't, and I was thinking I was using loads of bud. But then one thing I noticed is what he said about the amount I was using and how long the zoots were lasting was true, because you'd only have a few pulls. And I started to notice it was going out all the time, whereas the tobacco keeps it burning. But when it'd go out, at first I'd get pissed off, but for fuck's sake, and I'd keep lighting it, and then eventually I was like, you know what, I'm actually all right for now. Bam, put it down. And then you start doing that and you start realizing, I don't know, you just don't chin the whole thing off in one go in the same way that you would. I know I've been there before with tobacco zoots, finishing one off whilst making another, and once I moved to the pures, I just noticed that each one lasted so much longer, and you'd kind of session it over a long time, keep going back for some, and yeah, you'd sometimes a couple hours could pass. If you're busy doing something, playing a game, whatever, you weren't just smoking one in the lobby. Do you know what I mean? In 2 minutes, having as much as you could or whatever. It wasn't like that. It was just like now and again you're having a few pulls and you're cracking on, and you're feeling well better. And then I started to notice I was using less because of that, which is crazy because I'm putting double or more in each suit. It was weird for me at first to even fathom it, right? And basically, after a couple of weeks, my brother come up and he didn't know that I'd been doing this, and I was explaining to him like, oh yeah, I've just been switching to pures now. Oh fucking hell, man, I can't do that, me, bro. You not use loads and all this. We was having that conversation, and he's like, yo, can I nick a zoot? I said, yo, of course you can, bro. So I've passed in this bud. He's made a zoot, and basically we spoke nothing about the bud, right? It was like an orange terp, like tangy type of, oh my days, right? Beautiful. And once I passed it to him, he made the zoot with tobacco, not that much, but you know, decent enough, maybe a 70-30 or something like that, 30% backy. And he lit it and he went, fucking hell, that's nice, isn't it? It tastes like dead orangey. I said, yo, it is actually, bro. Tell you what, do you mind if I just take a draw on that? Because I want to experiment something. And he went, yeah, go on. So I had a draw, mate, and oh my fucking man, nearly threw up. Just like man said to me, I felt like I violated my lungs, mate. I felt like I'd violated my lungs, and I was coughing and my eyes were fucking watering. It was nasty, mate. The taste was disgusting. All it tasted of was, I don't know, I was never a cig smoker as well, just to preface that. I used to use backy and zoots for years and years, but I was never a cig smoker. Makes no sense. Backy was a thing in my zoots for like 10 years at least. And think about all that lung damage for no reason. It's just mad, innit? I didn't know no better. So anyway, basically, and this is no hate to any backy smokers. Do your thing, man. I'm just, as I said, share my experience. I'm no fucking, I forgot to say this, but I'm no medical professional. I'm no anything professional. I'm just there sharing my experience. Like, he's a hit and record on his phone. So make sure you take everything I'm saying with a pinch of salt and take that in mind. Keep that in mind. But yeah, basically, I tasted it and I was like, this is disgusting. And I was like, this is crazy that he's just told me this tastes peng and all he can taste is this orange, and all I can taste is raw tobacco, and it's nearly making me be sick. And that's just been a couple of weeks from not smoking with it. It was weird. And the feeling I would get when I'd have a zoot with tobacco, because a few times, don't get me wrong, a few times over the maybe year or so after that change, I'd be with someone who would have like, oh, check this Cali, I've just made this zoot, try it. And I'm like, is there backy in it? And they're like, yeah, but it's only a tiny bit. And I'm like, go on, bro, I'll try it. And I'd try it, and mate, my head would spin from the Nicky Rush. Sounds mad to say, because it never used to happen for me like that. And then the effects that I would get from it would be so different to the effects that I was getting from the pures, even of the same bud sometimes, because that tobacco was there. It's like that has its own effects, the nicotine and all them other bits in there, whatever else, tar and I don't know, all this stuff, yeah, has got effects that it gives you that over long-term use of cigs you might not notice, or tobacco or whatever in zoots. But when you haven't had it, it's like your body's super receptive to it. Think of it like a tolerance break, yeah? It's super receptive. And it was a eye-opener for me of like, wow, man, like I can't taste some of the nicest buds ever, and then other people feel like they can't taste it properly and it's too harsh on a pure, and they're always saying, oh, you're going to use more. And so, not, you know, most people around me always smoke with tobacco, and yeah, over time, as I got older, smoking pures for a good few years now, I started to hear about the vaping again. And it was Lee from Tabletop Bong who I started to watch more and more people's videos because I wanted to learn about it. And it was Lee who kind of explained, big up Lee from Tabletop Bong, man, absolute legend. If you haven't checked his channel out, go and check his channel out. Basically, what he explained, the pros and cons to him, like his processes, what he found's better. And it was a combination of that, and also, funny enough, it was a post on Reddit where someone was talking about their experience with changing. And I think basically hearing that all the different how can I say, changes that they've had, positives, it kind of pushed me to go, you know what, I want to do this. There's pros and cons, obviously, as with everything, there's pros and cons, but there was definite pros, such as the smell. It's so discreet with vapes. Like, it doesn't stick to your clothes, your hair, your beard, your hands, you know, your car or your home, or everything doesn't smell of it because it's not on you. It doesn't cling to you in the same way as smoke, because smoke is smoke. Do you know what I mean? It's doesn't matter whether it's flour you're burning or charcoal, it produces smoke which clings to stuff and it lasts for a long time and leaves a smell, which it's not a nice smell. I used to think it was if it was bud that had been burnt, I can't lie, but now when I smell, like if you go in a room where someone's just vaping there and then, you'll be able to smell it. But after like some very short period of time, the smell dissipates. So that was a big one for me. Another big one was someone told me I'm going to save money, right? You lot know already, I'm not here trying to splash all my money on this plant. I fucking love this plant, but I've been through times in my life where I did do that, and it's just not worth it. Like there's other things in life as well, so you've got to respect it and use it in the right way, and also not, in my opinion, I don't want to spunk all my money on it. So to hear that I could save a lot of money by reducing the amount I used, and people were saying 60, 70 or more percentage drop in what they're using, and they're feeling like they can taste it more, they're feeling like they get a cleaner effect, which is, you know, what I'm just been speaking about with the smoking. That's why I've just been, you know, I said I was going to speak about vaping, but we spoke about smoking and that journey as well, and that's the reason, because it was like the same sort of things, and it kind of triggered something in my head, like, wow, this sounds like when I switched from tobacco to pures. And there's a lot of benefits here where I could save even more money, I could taste even more, I could get a cleaner effect, I could get you could control with vapes, you can control the effects somewhat with the temperatures as well, which is a whole nother thing. Oh, there's so many things that, and Lee especially, he explained the ritual and how he enjoys that more, and it's a change. He talks openly, as I would, about, you know, it is a change, it is a big change, and we'll go into that in a sec on how I've done that change. But essentially that period of change, it's like, how can I explain it? It's not going to be an overnight thing, right, where it's just going to be all hunky-dory and perfect. It's a lot of it, it's a mind game where if you're deciding I want to do this because of these pros versus these cons. Also, it's devices is another one, but yeah, I just want to say quickly before we go into that, right, the other thing, this was that Reddit post I was talking about, the other thing that pushed me over the, sorry, my brain's flitting all over this, but yeah, you know how we do. Basically, how can I say it? The Reddit post that I read, this was the nail in the coffin. I remember reading this last. I was researching vaping every day for a long time and really thinking, fucking hell, there's a lot of money for these devices like the TinyMite and all these others. And then this one guy on Reddit, how he'd said he'd switched to it full time now and he stopped coughing up brown. He actually called it lung butter. No, that's disgusting, but I'm going to be honest and transparent. He called it brown lung butter, and he said I stopped coughing that up every day after so many weeks. And I was like, do you know what, yeah? As I said, airways is a thing for me. So they're saying vaping's healthier. They're saying it's going to improve your airways. You're going to save money. You're going to taste it more. You're going to be able to control somewhat the effects depending on the flower. You're going to have a bit more control because of the temperatures. You're not going to have the smell clinging to you everywhere, so it's going to be more discreet, and easy to use around families. And then I started hearing as well that, I don't know if this was when I was looking into vaping or just after I started vaping, but I heard that on medical, vaping is needed. I didn't realize that, honestly. I knew about medical for years before that, but I didn't realize that that was how it worked. I kind of wasn't interested in medical. And like I say, as time get older, you get certain responsibilities, you have a family. There's reasons why, you know, you change your habits, you change what suits you, and your preference of things changes over time. And I started to really think, you know what, this fucking vaping, especially with the health, with the airways and shit, I had surgery for that and it done fuck all. So I just thought, you know what, let's do it. Because basically I was going through a cycle of stopping smoking because it would get that bad for me, and I was like, oh, it's fucking me up. But at the same time, the effects I get from it are good. They're helping me with things. This is when I started to see it more as medicine as well. I've spoke about that in another video, so I won't go too much into that. But essentially, I thought, you know what, I can give this vaping a go. And since it seems like a lot of the benefits are like the swap from tobacco to pures, but on steroids, essentially, like even better, then why don't I treat it in the same way? Why don't I say to myself, you know what, let's do 2 weeks, 2 full weeks. And I went through then the cycle of this. I think this is what I did actually just before I said the 2 full weeks. I started to look what vape I wanted to get. And this is where your 2 key parts to actually becoming or making that switch full time to vaping. I'd say it's about 75% in the mind, right? It's if you've got that determination and you're saying, I'm gonna fucking do this. To a point, it could even be more than that. But the other 25%, 25-30%, whatever it is, that is having the right vape. And when I say having the right vape, it's the right vape for you, not the right vape for everyone else. And that is a difficult thing, and that's something, you know, it's worth researching. And I speak about all the time. We're always talking about all these different vapes over in the Discord and the streams. But I am going to do a video just speaking about, you know, my experience with so many different vapes now, and which I think are the best and why I think they're the best. But ultimately, they're all suited to different situations. So like a ball vape, for example, yeah. If you are someone who currently smokes outside the house, you know, on, I don't know, walking your dog, wherever it may be, you're not sat in the same place in one spot every time you're smoking in the house, and you don't use glassware, then it's going to be a big change, because a ball vape needs to be plugged in the wall, or most ball vapes do, and you need glassware. There's a lot more to it, right? So that can be a big step. I know people who've literally, and again, you know, you are, big up yourself, man, got a ball vape as your first vape and was blown away by it, was like, wow, this is incredible. However, he also used to smoke. He's always in the house, works from home, but he also smokes when he walks his dog, and so he didn't have anything to use in that period, and he spent all his money on this ball vape. So it was a period of time until he got something different. That is, then you're not going to really get the full effects from switching over, because you're not fully switched over, and it can become a bit more of a chore. But for some people, ball vape would be perfect. Now, when you're talking portables, I did a lot of research, and I went for basically the best, the most premium budget vape that you can get, right? And this is what I'd found at the time. So I'm not saying this is still standing now. In fact, there's a newer model of that vape, and there's so many other vapes now. And I didn't know about so many of them, but from what I found, the X-Max V3 Pro was like the best for a low budget. And people are saying there's a massive difference in the other ones, but still it's decent. And I thought, you know what, let's do it. It was like 120 quid with all the bits, the water pipe adapter, so I'd have a glass mouthpiece, and apparently it made it better flavour, which it definitely did. And I didn't have a bubbler or anything to put it through. I just used the vape itself, and I'm not going to lie in saying it was underwhelming. it was massively underwhelming. I spent 120 quid on this thing that I was contemplating, you know, is it really worth spending 300 odd quid on one of these devices for like a TinyMite or whatever? And then I bought this, and I'm kind of contemplating even more. Do I really want to do this? Because like 300 odd quid, is it just going to be, how much different is it going to be to this? Do you know what I mean? Again, that's where Lee from Tabletop Bong, George and Andreas from Vape Fiend, big ups. Your videos have massively helped me to kind of see the actual difference in these vapes in use case. So that was a massive help as well. And just hearing people's opinions and thoughts on them. And I knew the TinyMite was the one I wanted to go for, but I had already bought this now. And I said to myself, right, if you do 2 weeks, this is where I'm like, 2 weeks, no smoking whatsoever, only vaping, then I'm gonna give myself the allowance of saying, right, I'm gonna spend more on a better vape. And the reason for that is that I could save some money on flour. If I was really going to reduce how much I was using, then it would happen through vaping, right? But it wouldn't happen if I was flitting between vaping and smoking. So, or not as much, not a noticeable amount, because yeah, basically I did that for 2 weeks. I got to the end of that 2 weeks and I instantly, the entire 2 weeks I was basically researching which vape I was going to buy, and I was using this vape, this X-Max V3 Pro. And a lot of people were saying, you know, the X-Max is brilliant, in fact, if you just put it through a bubbler. So I thought, you know what, before I go and buy a different vape, I'm just going to go and buy a bubbler and see if it really is that much different, because you can get a decent one for like 40-50 quid. And if I already had the water pipe adapter, so I didn't have to spend any more, and a decent vape, you're looking at that time, for what I was looking at, was going to be about 250 to 350-ish. And I thought, you know what, 40-50 quid, it's way cheaper. So that's what I did. And yes, it was better, way better through the bubbler, way better. Surprised me what it was capable of, but it still wasn't like what I'd seen Lee, George and Andreas using with these other vapes. There's not a lot of British people using these vapes online, at least there wasn't when I was doing this. It's a few years ago now. Like I say, this was all before I was on medical, you got to remember this. So my reason wasn't, I'm doing this to try and become legal. I was doing it for other reasons, which I've just been through, so I won't go through them again. But that's where you've got to find your reason and get that mental game of why you want to do this. And then you've got to commit to it. And then the next part is finding that right vape. But I think, like I said, even with a vape that's not that brilliant, you can do it. And I did it with the V3 Pro. When I got the bubbler, it was better. But like I say, still weren't doing the same thing. And I had to use a bubbler every time to get that effect, to get that same sort of extraction in 1 or 2 goes, proper, the effect coming on properly, like not having to sit there sipping away for 20 plus minutes and turn it off, turn it on, the session ending. Like, I don't know, I just couldn't get the hang of it properly before using that bubbler. But then like I say, I'd had the bubbler at this point. It was annoying having to use that every single time. And I'm seeing people natively using the Solo 3 and the TinyMite 2. I knew I should have got the TinyMite 2, but I just wanted to not spend all that money, so I got the Solo 3. Brilliant vape. You guys have probably seen. If you haven't, go and check out. I've done a full review on it. I've done a tips video on it. It's a brilliant vape. It still didn't quite live up to, and this is part of, I think, the vaping thing as well. It's a pro that you don't think about. Or maybe a con, depending on how you look at it. But when you start getting into vaping and you actually enjoy it, it becomes like a hobby in a way, like understanding these devices, how they work. It's hard to explain, and the people call it VAS, and it's like vape accumulation syndrome or something. Basically, you just keep wanting to get more vapes and look at different vapes, and you use so much less flour, so you save the money, and you think, you know what? And honestly, it's made me respect the flour and the plant in such a way that I don't even use as often as I used to when I was smoking. It's crazy the differences it's made now, to the point of, like, so I got the Solo, eventually I got the TinyMite, fucking brilliant, and I've tried other brilliant vapes since then, the Utillian 850, that GT4 as well, that's really surprised me. I've used manual vapes now, which is a whole nother thing as well. This is what I'm saying, you've got to find the right vape for you. A manual vape could be the exact thing that you're looking for, and it's cheaper. You can get a really premium manual vape for like, fucking hell, 150, even less, to be honest. If you go, like, there's some DynaVaps that are not, maybe they're super premium ranges, but they're under 100 quid, under 50 quid even, and they'll produce similar results. Okay, there's definitely, you know, increases over the thing, but you've got like the Lotus from Inhale, you've got the Vatman Click from Inhale, and the Vong X from DynaVap. I've tried all three of them, and all brilliant in their own way. Manual vapes, they basically use an even induction heater, which you do have to buy separately, so that does increase the price. Or you can just use a torch lighter. On the Lotus and on the Inhale Lotus and the Vatman Click, you have to use a torch lighter, which you can get from your Bossman shop for like 2 quid. And then the vapes are like under 100 to 150, depending on the sales on. If you use the discount code Medicated M10, you also get some money off on the Inhale Medicated Mate for DynaVap. Gotta say it, man, get them in. And yeah, basically, same with the Utillian, man. We've got a discount code for them. All the stuff will be in the description for these. These are the ones I've used and tried, but you've just got to do a bit of research, do a bit of understanding of what, compare it to your current experience with smoking and where it would fit into your life. There's no point going buying a ball vape because people say it's amazing if you're never in the house, sat down at the same desk with the same, like, with power and in a place where it's safe away from pets and kids and all this. And if that's not your life when you're smoking, then buying a ball vape is going to be a struggle to fit in. It might be a nice thing that you can use occasionally, but do you get what I'm saying? You've just got to find the right vape for you. But the massivest part for me in this entire journey of switching over now has been the mindset game of it. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to give it a couple of weeks. And what I did, you heard, you know, a couple of weeks, then I got the bubbler, then a couple of weeks later, or maybe even a week later, I got the solo, because I was like, I'm sick of having to use this massive beaker every single time that I want to medicate. And that's when I started to, how can I say, I seen the difference in how I was treating it. I seen all the pros that I'd heard were going to be there were there, but I still occasionally got to this point where I felt like I wanted to smoke, right? This is after having the Tiny Mite and the Solo, and I'd been busy trying these away and not really just wanting to smoke because I'd liked doing this. I did start to enjoy it. And I think there's a couple of times this has happened, so I can't remember the first one. There's times where I've just been with people and they were smoking and they offered me some and I'm vaping and I'm like, yeah, go on, I try it. And it fucking tasted disgusting. And it was a pure. It was like a campfire. It didn't taste like flower at all. I couldn't taste terps. It was like somebody had just put a campfire right in front of my mouth and I just inhaled straight away from it. Crazy. You think it's the flower, and then, you know, there's times when I was, in fact, yes, before I got the Tiny Mite, there was times where I was still had the thought to smoke, but every time I strapped something and smoked it, I didn't enjoy it. It felt like a waste because I'd used like 10 or more bowls worth and it tasted like shit. I was using some of the shitter stuff maybe sometimes then because I thought, you know, something that's not as good, I'll just smoke that as that, because it was like the stuff that was so nice you would want to put through the vape so you get the most out of it, which is, yeah, mad, because I would have thought the other way around originally. It's crazy how you change over that period of time and you kind of adjust, your body adjusts, and it gets to a point where, like, I remember this one time, like, we climbed a mountain and I got to the top, and anytime I do anything like that, mountain, hill, whatever it is, you're out and about, you know what you do at your top, you're gonna light the zubby, man, you're gonna roll one. And I remember doing it and thinking, this is fucking disgusting, just tastes horrible. And I'm kind of pranking because I'm thinking, yo, you know, as people come in or whatever, you're being a bit more conscious and stuff. And yeah, it's mad. I eventually got to a point where I just don't smoke now. I don't see the point. If somebody offered it me and I had the vape there, then I'd use the vape. The only time where I have done is where I think this was, again, probably between getting the Solo and the Tiny Mite, because there was quite a gap there, because the Solo was like 250, I think. So I kind of left for quite a while until I got the Tiny Mite. And I remember running out of flour once, and all I had left was AVB. And so I rolled one of the AVB because I heard people say it's not that bad. And honestly, it tasted just like any other zoot that I'd blazed in the last however long when I'd had one occasionally. It just tasted like that. It didn't taste nasty like AVB or whatever. I don't know. It's just flour with, you know, the lower end terpenes baked off of it essentially, and cannabinoids and stuff. But there's still stuff in there. And yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought. But it was the same smoking, every single time, I forgot to say this, every single time I smoked, my airways would be fucked up. And then for like 2 days, I'd be bringing up all this shit again. And that's where I realised, you know what? I know that I liked smoking, but I like vaping now. And it seems to do more for me than what the smoking did. So I think I'm just going to stick with it. And that's essentially what I've done since then. And like I say, since then I've tried all sorts of different vapes. I don't look at flour in the same way now. Like, it's crazy, man. It's changed so many things. It's yeah, I'll tell you what it's done as well, is saved me a shitload of money, man. Oh my days, has it saved me a shitload of money. I go through now what I used to go through in a week, I go through in a month. I'm saving so much money from that. I can do more things with the family. I can do more things for myself. I can have other things going on in my life. Do you know what I mean? And have the money for that just because of the fact I've saved. And you know what? If I wanted to buy another vape, then boom, if I can. That's what I did with the ball vape. When I got the ball vape, I was like, you know what? I've saved enough from vaping. I'm just going to go and buy a ball vape. And now, honestly, after having so many different decent portables and companies sending out, big up you lot who sent out vapes, for me to try out and, you know, show to you guys and to give away as well, which is fucking sick. Yeah, if I want a different experience, I can use a different vape for a different experience. They all have their own use case, if you like, but smoking doesn't have a use case for me anymore. If I ran out of power, that was always something I used to think about. What if you had no battery? Well, it doesn't matter now, because I've got vapes where I could use it with a lighter. I've got vapes where I could use with it. All right, some need a torch lighter, but some, like a DynaVap, if you wanted to, you can just use that with a normal lighter, or a candle if you really needed to. Like, there's just no point in my life where smoking fits in now. Do you know what I mean? And like I say, the smell of it's crazy. Like, I go around someone's yard and they've been smoking, it smells like an ashtray to me when I walk in there. It smells horrible. I used to think it smelled peng. It's mad. It's mad. Your body changes over time. Yeah, your airways are more free. I don't know, man. I've seen a lot of benefits out of it. It's not for everyone, I get it, but there's a lot more people that potentially might have done what I did, what I was mentioning at the beginning, where you try it and you think it's shit and you just fuck it off and leave it, and you're missing out on something that you might really enjoy. So I just wanted to share my experience. Listen, we're on 38 minutes. It's been a long car chat, but that's how the best ones go, people. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. That's my experience, that's my journey. If you got any questions, hit them in the comments below. And most importantly, let other people know your journey, your experience. I would love to hear what your process is with it, how you found it. Because it can just be one thing that you write in a comment that someone else reads that they can relate to more than even something I've said in this video. And it gives them that reason to go, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna try it. And it might change their life. It's massively changed mine. My breathing's better, my sleep's better. Like I say, the controlling the effects, it helps massively for daytime as well. Obviously, certain strains are better in daytime than others. For each person, it's different. But temperatures can help you dial that in more, because lower temps, you will avoid any of the terpenes that might be in there that might give you those sleepy evening time effects, just by changing the temperature and avoiding those higher temps. With a decent vape, you can do that well. Again, the cheaper vapes. I would say consider what vapes. The main thing's the mind game though, people. And yeah, any questions, any advice, please do drop in the comments below. If you got up to this point, you already know what I'm about to say. Hit the 420 in the comments below, people. I'd love to know how many has got to the 39th minute listening to me ramble on. I appreciate you, man. Honestly, on a fucking real, we're crawling towards 5k. I say crawling, fucking full steam, mate. It's crazy how many of you lot showing support and love on the channel and myself, everything I'm doing. The community, big love to the community. We've got the Discord. Honestly, it's just overwhelming. It genuinely is overwhelming. It's massively appreciated, people. Yeah, changed my fucking life doing this, doing the streams. I've connected with so many people. I've learned so much more from you guys. Yeah, honestly, it's crazy. It's crazy, and I massively appreciate the people, the gifters, the members, everyone who's, you know, supporting what I'm doing in that way also. But honestly, you don't ever have to do that. I always say this, just you being here watching a video, even if you don't drop a like, even if you don't drop a comment, even if you're not even subscribed, I appreciate you, man. People dropping little hate comments as well, I appreciate you too, because you're here. Yo, I appreciate you all. On a real, thank you very much for being here, being a part of this. And yeah, just allowing me to share these things and helping me to learn so many things from you guys, because it's been a massive journey. Ever since starting this channel, my whole vaping game has changed even more. I've learned so many more things. I've been given advice that's helped save me money. Yeah, big up every single one of you, man. And also, big shout out to everyone who's buying the new merch. Fucking legends. We've got the bags now as well. We've got these bags, the lockable carbon line bags. Yo, massive love to everyone. If you ain't already checked it out, go and check it out. The link will be in the comments below, or the description or somewhere. Appreciate you, man. Big love. I'll see you in the next one. And yeah, thanks for being here, people. Peace.